All right. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, or good evening, should I say. How y'all feeling today? A little more energy.
Come on.
Yes. Come on, we
Let's
live.
make
a little
sure
more.
we live and in color, baby. Let's
Right,
go.
let's go.
Let's
So,
go.
welcome
Here,
to
we might
Taylor
as well do
Talks
it now.
right now. So, this is the second episode. A couple months ago, we talked about mothers versus fathers. It's going to be a 10-second delay. Yeah. No, y'all good. They know we live. You don't know how to do it? Yep. So hey y'all, we live, but we go have some technical stuff. Like it's a 10-second delay. So after I go live, and y'all can share it to go live. They fine. So a couple months ago, we did a Mothers versus Fathers Day. And what was the controversy? And we kind of got a little bit into the conversation, but we had to stop. So we didn't dig a little deeper. And I felt like at some point we kind of was holding back just to make sure that we was I don't want to say grammatically correct, but maybe conversational correct. So I just wanted to make sure.
You didn't want to offend nobody?
Right. No, and you know what? In some conversations you will get offended, but I feel like if we can have those clear communication, and sometimes even if you get offended, if we learn how to still communicate with each other without going and being mad and angry, but getting to the root of it, we're good. So tonight is a little different. I got a co-host. I'm gonna let him introduce himself since y'all know who I am, and then we'll go through the panel and then introduce ourselves, and then let's kind of jump right into it.
Oh, how y'all doing this morning? I'm glad she called me to ask me to be a co-host with this. My name's Neil Kelly. Everybody call me Pastor Neil. Been friends with Shaquana forever. But this is a topic me and her go back and forth with all the time, so I can't wait.
Yeah, y'all. He think he finna stump somebody.
No stomping. We just want to come to a common ground because there's always just too much separatism when you're talking about fathers, mothers, you're talking about husbands, wives. There isn't any adversity between. It should be a common ground. Even if you're not together and you're parenting, even if you're divorced, even if you're separated, even if it was a one-night stand and whatever happened in between and a child come forth, whatever it may be, there has to be a common ground because there's one goal, the child. Right. And I'm speaking from just a standpoint, I'll be transparent, even more transparent as we go, because there needs to be a little more transparency from being a horrible father to trying to be a better father and a great father. So we have to be 100 with ourselves. Absolutely. And transparent with ourselves to even get to that goal.
All right, let's go get good tonight, y'all. Who next? Jump in.
I'm Rich Hickles, Rich Hickles Real Estate. I'm a proud father of 4, and I'm always doing something. That's what my posts always say. Rich Real Estate Hickles is always doing something. So I serve the community with my real estate needs. I'm a full-time father, single parent, and I wouldn't want to be nothing else.
All right.
Hey everybody, my name is Ed Cook. I am a pastor also. A church is called Revive, a life transformation church. I am married, been married for 19 years to a fine woman.
Yes.
Making me look bad.
Been married 19 years. I have 2 children, a 14 and a 12-year-old. So happy to be here. Was here the first time around. Love the conversation and looking forward to, what happens tonight.
Yes. Welcome.
I am John Larry, the black man with 2 first names. I am a native of Chicago. Was born and raised in Chicago. Been in Milwaukee County for, I think, about 12 years. And so I'm here, new kid on the block, as I was listening in to the last conversation about motherhood versus fatherhood. And I'm glad to be here, glad that I received the invitation to join you all in this much needed discussion, not debate, a discussion.
That's what, okay.
So.
Hey everyone, I am Sarah Smith. This is my second time around. I am a bonus mom of 5. My husband and I just celebrated our 1-year anniversary.
All right.
All right. Listen, they like, all right, they good.
Ed and Sarah making me look real bad.
Why you looking bad?
Because I didn't mention my wife. I didn't know we were supposed
Right.
to go in
I
all that.
thought you was finna go with
You know what I'm
that.
saying? If she watches,
Listen,
it was my fault. I'm
Mari,
sorry.
I had nothing to do with it.
You know what I mean? We're celebrating our 1-year anniversary.
Thank you.
And we have one child together, and I have 4 of the boys. So we have 5, a group of 5. We're the Kelly 5.
Yes.
All right.
Listen, about to get in trouble already.
I'm sorry. Hopefully she ain't tuned it in. She's doing her paper for her master's degree. So hopefully
No, go back, Mari, and watch it. Go back. No. And so we have virtually with us Ebony. Ebony, you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Ebony Whitson. I am. Can y'all hear me good?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I am been married for 9 years. Me and my husband have 6 children together. I had 3 when we came into our relationship. He had 2, and then we were crazy enough to have 1 more. And we are actually right now taking our second oldest to college. She's going to Alabama A&M. So this is our life.
Wow, that's good. So last time I felt like we talked a little bit about, hey, mothers get the entree, fathers get the McDonald's commercial. And then just me having this conversation with Neo, like we go back and forth, y'all, and we get deep. And sometimes I'll be like, you know what? It's a good thing we ain't in each other's face if we on the phone sometimes, because it gets heated, but it's always love and good. And he was like, see, that's the issue. Why I had to be mothers versus father, like we was in some competition. And I was like, I absolutely didn't mean it that way. And maybe it did come off like that, but that is the stigma that's around it. And he was talking about, why can't we talk about how we can be more united versus who do one thing versus who do the second thing? And so, Neo, why did you feel that mothers versus father was controversial?
I see it in everything in society. You know, when you look at everything, when they talk about Mother's Day, you see 1 million ads. Talk about Father's Day, you see 2 Kohl's ads. You don't see anything
Like
else.
you don't want the tie?
I got enough ties. But then it just comes in society in general. When we talk about mothers and fathers, the first thing that people say, even kids, and I found this myself as I grew up, you talk about your mother in such a doting way. Mother is always, you're always talking about my mother. She cared for me. I'm gonna go to my mom. I got a problem. Dad is always the disciplinarian, and society makes it out that way for dad to be this tough guy that all you go to him is for discipline. He's the rough guy. Guess what? If you want to come back home and you just something happen, mom's gonna always do it. Dad's gonna be adverse. So it's always this stigma that dad ain't the good guy. Mom is the good guy. It's always put, well, mom does this, mom does that, mom does this. But you have to look at the other side of what dad does too. He's going to do what he's capable innately to do. And I hate to get biblical on you, but we just have to look at the roles when it was put. When we look at the virtuous woman, everyone wants to be a virtuous woman. They want to be what the Bible says a virtuous woman, but it comes responsibility with that. When you read that text, it says that the husband sat at the gate looking good in front of the people while she was very industrious. She made clothes. She fed the family. She made clothes for him. She went out to the marketplace. She bought land. She did all those things. But women, you want all those things, but then when you get them all, it's like, hey, you ain't doing enough. You ain't a good father. I fed them, I clothed them, and then you come home at night and you pat them on the head and then you wrestle around them and put them in bed. Well, guess what? That's maybe what he needed from his dad, because it comes a point where as he gets older and becomes a grown man, he doesn't go to mom anymore. He goes to dad because mom doesn't understand those grown man issues. So it's a switching of the roles as time goes by. Mom is needed till he gets to the age of probably 21, 22. She lets him go, and then what? He becomes a man and he becomes dad's guy then. Now dad is training him how to be a man. She's training him how to be loving and kind, and he's watching dad or his father, who's maybe not with his mother, treat his mom with respect even though he's not with her. Then he transitioned to me and dad. We're in the same plane. I get it. I'm going to give you everything now. So you have to, it's about knowing your role and knowing your place. Everybody can't do anything. everything. And knowing what the other person's existence was before you had a child with them.
Right. But so I guess I'll interject and then y'all feel free. Because like I said, we can always get heated, is that I don't think it become an age where they don't need your mom. And I'm not saying like the father shouldn't be a vital role in their life, but it is something about being a mother. And for me, it's not about the competition of saying I'm better than the father or the dad. I can even think about growing up, and sometimes when some challenges happen, I can see myself calling my mom as a grown woman. And there's something about a woman, and it's not saying that the father doesn't have that vital role in life and thinking about the leads of the role of the household. I often feel like as mothers, most of us are nurturers. Maybe the babies know to come to us whatever age they are, because my mama will always be my mama. It's nothing like a mother. And maybe it does sound biased on my part because I am a mother. So let me just be transparent with that too. And so feel free to jump in, y'all. Because y'all looking like I want to touch that, but I feel like at all ages, they go love and want their mama.
No, we ain't saying they're not going to need you, but it's a point, especially with young men.
Uh-huh.
It's a point where they need their mother, but it's just some things that mother can't do.
Okay.
Because even with the daughter, it's things that mom can't do. Dad is the protector. It's some things that even though she's going to go to mom to talk about the issue, dad is going to solve the issue. She's going to go to mom because that guy is mistreating her, and she's going to pour her heart out to mom. But guess who she's going to go to for the issue and the problem? Dad, he hit me. Dad, this is going on. My brother, this is going on. She's going to go to that male figure. So it has to be valued on both ends. Mom has to be valued for what she gives, and dad has to be valued. Don't devalue the next one, because when you devalue the next one, you then have to really look in the mirror when you're doing that and say, really, what am I doing myself if I have to devalue what the next person is doing?
Can we just circle back to kind of when he went and he brought out the points of the virtuous woman, because that's something that I have been struggling with for a while. It lists so many of the things that she was responsible for as a woman in her household. All of the things that she did. She was up early, went to bed late. She was like he said, she was very industrious. She took care of business while making her husband look good. And when we sit here and we say, why is there a difference between Mother's Day and Father's Day? When you bring out the points of the virtuous woman, look at how much that woman is accomplishing. Yes. And look at how much she's in charge of, that right there alone is not saying that we deserve more praise, but we handle a heavy load. And so when it comes to the day that we do have set aside, recognize that, I think that's why there's a little bit more pointed towards us.
I can say some things, but I'm appalled.
Y'all spend a little bit more money than we do.
So you think it's just about spending money?
Yes.
All right.
So I think ultimately we have to understand that there is a balance between what a mother brings to the table and what a father brings to the table. A lot of times we're looking at our youth, and our youth are going to the left or going to the right or a little bit wayward. Why? Because they're missing the balance of what a mother brings to the table and a father brings to the table. There's certain inherent characteristics that each one of us has as a mother and a father and what we bring to the table that balances that child, that raises that child in godliness, that brings them up. And when one of those are going, when one person is trying to be everything, you're not built to be what a mother's not built to be what a father is. And a father is not built to be what a mother is. They bring what they bring. They bring their strengths to the table, and then they raise that child together. I think when we're talking about Mother's Day and Father's Day, there was a point that was brought up last time that I don't want us to forget. And it's this point of follow the money.
Right.
Follow the money. And historically, what was said last time, I mean, maybe Shannon said it last time, or Sam, historically, what was brought up is men were out working, mothers were at home taking care of the families. And so if I am a retailer, and the men are the one that are going out bringing home most of the money, then my marketing, my advertising, I'm trying to make money as a retailer. And so I'm going to advertise and I'm going to push and I'm going to market Mother's Day because historically that's where, now I'm not saying it's still that way, but historically that's where the money came from. And then the scraps went to the father. So I think what we got to understand is so many of our ways, so many of our things that we do, so many of the traditions that we've created around our households have been created for us and we don't even know it.
Yeah.
I have a question because we were talking before camera, and it goes into kind of pitting one against the other. If you find a father who's really hands-on, because we were talking about that, and he said, I get people calling me mom, dad. Well, if he's changing the diapers, he's doing a lot of ripping and running, he's doing that, they initially attest that to him acting like a mother. No, he's just being the father that he wants to be. And I'm saying that from the standpoint of, I gotta be transparent, from being a horrible father. One who wanted to be out in the streets, want to be involved in every other activity that was ungodly all across the sun, to now changing my life and then seeing and having this revelation of what a father really was, even though I had a father in the house.
Right.
Because it doesn't mean you're going to learn how to be a father if you have a father that's sitting in front of you doing the right thing, because your eyes necessarily isn't on that. He said it, raising your child up godly like. So if you have some attention to God, then your fatherly things will be somewhat different. But why do we have to then attest a guy who's doing things that people would attest to be a mother, changing diapers? She might work a different shift, and guess what? He's not sending them to the babysitter. He's keeping the baby at home with him on his day off. Instead of going to daycare, the baby's at home with him. No, he's like mom, dad now. No, he's just dad. He's not mom. And that's where society starts creating these roles that's false, that's not really so. He's just being dad. Yes, you guys have a lot on your plate, but the idea with having a lot on the plate was he was an elder in the community. So guess what? She wouldn't be able to do those things if he didn't have that position, because she wouldn't have been allowed to do those things. Soon as he lost his position, she loses the idea of being accessible to buy land, accessible to buy. So it works hand in hand. It goes together. He watches the kids, she works.
Right. But so I guess with Rich, because it was something said to you, I want you to tune in on.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying him to tune in on how he felt about the mom, dad. Like, I don't know how it was said. Like, I talked about it before when I was like, I don't want people to tell me Happy Father's Day, because that's not who I am,
Okay, so like when I was either 16 or 18, my mother left. She never looked back, right? And I can text her and stuff like that, but I can never go see her, and it kind of messed with me a little bit. So I just knew that I would be the best parent to any of my children. And then I got a little older, and I had 2 boys. And then their mom dropped them off to me when they still had pacifiers in their mouth. And I was like, okay, cool. I know what to do. And I learned what to do from not having a mother, from women in the community, from other men in the community. Like, this is what you do. No matter what, this is how you have your house. Keep you a roof over your head, because when it get cold outside, they might put you out. So
Okay.
When I got those boys, it was like, hey, every skill that you learn, it has to show up today. And from that point on, that's just how I raised them. I didn't have the pleasure of sending them to daycare because of their names were still tied up with her stuff, and she was uncooperative and stuff like that. But I want to shout out, if I can, Kidtastic Childcare, because they helped me. Like, drop them off. We'll work it out later. When you make some money, pay us. Stuff like that. But they really helped me so I can go pull my life together and go get them an income. But as I started doing all of these roles and all of these positions, because I would get up early, do the little work that I need to do, because I sell real estate, get my clients and stuff showings together, get my kids dressed, take them to daycare. Between that time of daycare and the time they get out, I was running the streets with real estate. And when I got out of school, I was right there. Then I had to do the laundry, cook, homework, this, that. I had to do everything. And people like, you're a mom, dad. No, I'm a daddy.
Yeah.
I'm the daddy. Okay. Right. And my kids know, because we got a list saying, who am I? It's me, the daddy. And they always go crazy about that. But yeah, so people.
Did you ever correct somebody when they said that though? Like, how was the conversation? Like, hey, mom, dad. Like,
it'll just be like a little snicker or something like that. Like, I don't know. I'll just be like, I'm the daddy. I don't care what you say. I'm the daddy. Okay. You probably wish you had a daddy like me. But yeah, I would just say I'm the daddy. And some females even strengthen their relationship with their kids behind how I follow up with my kids. You gotta be persistent and consistent with children. Right. In our last talk, I was telling people you have to be persistent with your children, and that means follow up with them. You have to go to their schools, find out who their teachers are and stuff like that, because if you don't, you're gonna have to buy your name back, because everything you try to get is gonna have a lien on it. Yeah. And
so when you said that, it takes me back to sometimes I used to hear people say the dad is babysitting, and I couldn't get it. Right. I couldn't wrap it around my head.
You can't babysit your own kids.
That's your babysitting your own kids. You're not babysitting nothing, partner. You keeping your babies. Yeah.
I had that earlier today, because Mondays is my day off because I'm a barber.
Okay.
So Mondays, we have a 1-year-old. He's at home with me.
Yeah.
My other son, he's with us. He's 13. They're at home with me. Hey, you babysitting? No, I ain't babysitting.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody paying me.
Right.
So I'm not a babysitter. They got my gene pool, so I'm not the babysitter. That's somebody outside of us that's getting paid or doing us a favor.
Right. So John, you haven't chimed in yet. And so I know you have your babies too. So how do you feel about that concept when people say you babysitting? Like, no, I'm not babysitting. Or do you believe it's babysitting?
Yeah, I've try to just sit back and listen.
and
be like a reflective practitioner.
Not on this
show. Just a few things though, like stepping back and thinking more economically about Mother's Day versus Father's Day, and then also biblically regarding the Proverbs 31, the virtuous woman, and then like the nuances that we tend to hear, such as you're babysitting as a father. First, economically, if we're thinking about really the history of Mother's Day and Father's Day, right, and we're looking back into the early 1900s, which is when Mother's Day was founded by Anna Jarvis, right? And you're talking about a time where the Civil War was occurring, right? And then Mother's Day was established because of everything that the mothers were doing while the men were out fighting in wars and things of that nature. And then you fast forward maybe 6-7 decades later, talking about the upper 1970s, where there was where then you have the founding of Father's Day, right? And so perhaps because of that lapse in between the years, the founding of Mother's Day versus Father's Day, that's why so much attention is on Mother's Day, right? You're talking 1910, the founding of Mother's Day, 1977, the founding of Father's Day. There's a huge difference. There's a large gap there, right? And so you have 6 decades prior of mothers being honored. And then in addition to that, when you're speaking economically, Anna Jarvis, she had beef with the people who were trying to exploit the day itself, right? She wasn't happy that the government decided to exploit this day and with the white carnations and all that. She was dissatisfied. Matter of fact, she was fighting hard against it, ultimately lost, but fighting hard against it with our country acknowledging it the way that we do today. And so Father's Day you have happening. Sonora Dodd, who was the founder of Father's Day, comes in and says, hey, well, Anna Jarvis does this for Mother's Day. We want to acknowledge not only just fathers, but father figures who have been making a difference within the community. And so you have that going on from an economic standpoint where, Jarvis didn't want that to happen. That wasn't her goal. Her goal was to really acknowledge mothers and their roles within the community while the men were coming back from war and so on. And then you have Sonora Dodd, who is just like, well, let's do Father's Day. Let's acknowledge fathers, because she grew up with a single dad who was raising 6 kids by himself, right? And so I think as we tend to do, we take away from the meaning of these days that people establish them for a certain purpose, right? And so that's from an economic standpoint. From a biblical standpoint, when you're looking at Proverbs 31, and it talks about the virtuous woman, right? You have a model woman, a woman who is perfect from our standpoint, but I don't think the scriptures are inspired in that way for women to live up to their expectations, such as when you cross over into the Gospel of Matthew chapter 6, and you see Jesus giving the Lord's Prayer, right? That's not necessarily the prayer he's asking us to pray. It's a model prayer for his disciples, right? And so I don't think that Proverbs 31 is for a woman to hold up and say, okay, I need to be like this woman. No, it's just a model, right? And so I think what we talked about, there just has to be a balance. And when we bring in the scripture, there has to be the whole counsel of God, right? We just don't want to, right? Because as one of my mentors used to say, or one of my professors in college used to say, a text taken out of context leaves you with a con, right? And so you gotta make sure you are speaking within the whole counsel of God and within the love story from Genesis to Revelation. So that's biblically. The nuances of babysitting your kids, I think that it's absurd.
y'all act like y'all don't hear it though. We hear it all the time.
I know. I've heard it as well.
Right.
And
that's probably what's going on.
You babysit your kids. I've heard it, like even growing up, right? Like with when my dad would have to watch us or play a role and keeping an eye on us after some time. My mom and my dad split up, and so when he would be at home watching us, it would be like this idea of babysitting your kids, and I don't know. I think that does a disservice to the role that a father plays, just as it would if I was saying a mother is babysitting her kids. It would do a disservice to the mother. And contrast is more so I'm raising my kid. This moment, this time that I'm spending with them is not babysitting, but I'm raising them. I'm giving them what they need. I'm providing for them in those moments. And so, yeah. And then the other thing is, and I'll be quiet. Another nuance is that I heard from my mom growing up was, I'm your mother and your father. Yeah. Right. Yep. And I was thinking along the lines of what you all said. Like, there are things that my mother could teach my sisters, but she couldn't necessarily teach me or model to me because she's a female, right? And I don't expect her to. A mother has the tendency to have a greater impact in some ways on daughters because they are the same gender, right? There are things that a man cannot teach a young lady, and there's things that a mother cannot teach or a female cannot teach young men, because it's just there are those, I think, defined and distinguished roles within a biblical context, and not like in the sense of one being better than the other or greater than the other. As sometimes we misinterpret New Testament scriptures with the Apostle Paul speaking in terms of this word submissiveness, right?
We ain't gonna even go to submissiveness. So
right. But I'm saying it's just like the idea, right? Yes. The greater. I mean, when you look at it in context, it's like the responsibility that is laid upon the male as far as the sacrificial type of love he's supposed to have and so on, and loving his wife like Christ loved the church. You thinking like, oh my gosh, how did Christ love the church? Well, sacrificially, right? And we see it on through the crucifixion on the cross when Jesus gave his life. So you're just like, yeah, you know, we just both have roles, and we got to stay in our lane within those roles. So
he just gave his whole little Sunday sermon, y'all.
there it is. She said I was quiet. That's all I'm gonna say.
And here I go. Come
and
on.
I'm good. And
No
I'm good. I'm
collection
good.
plate for you. No collection plate. So when I think of so when I think about that, Sarah, and being what you consider yourself, and then Ebony chime in too, bonus moms, you know, and so is it then also when y'all have the babies? Because I've seen it, I heard it, I have friends, whether it was those that were moms or bonus dads, when they get the children, it often seems like the bonus mom have the father's children versus the father having the children more. And so when you look at it that way, what role do you think you are? I ain't gonna even say plan, but what role are you standing in for? And then how do you feel as being that bonus parent, probably spending more of the majority time with the children? And Ebony, I know you have bonus babies too.
I think that's a good question. And I've only been a bonus mom for a year, so we're still learning. But one thing, I mean, I had both my parents in the household. Both my parents did a lot of the work. And that I can just teach the kids what I've learned. And Sedan and I have grown up very differently, so we give a different perspective.
Different environment,
absolutely.
Household, suburbs
discipline,
versus city.
everything. And so we're just trying to see what works best. And when we have the kids, we both have the kids. I mean, there's very few times where he's alone with the kids, like off doing something, or I am, unless like one of us is working. We try to make sure that when we do have the kids, we have quality time with the kids, and we're doing something, we're teaching them. We have the kids know that certain times we're doing homework, so we're still teaching them, even though they're not in school or anything like that. And the bonus mom, because I always say bonus mom because I feel like stepmom's like a negative thing. Yeah. I don't know why. It just
I hate it. I just say mom.
Yeah. No? Okay. Well, we've had a lot of pushback with that because my husband and I got married very quickly. Within 55 days, we got married. And so I knew I had to earn the respect of the mothers of the children. And I knew that with being with their children and everything like that, I knew that. And some of the mothers, they weren't okay with that. And I tell the kids either way, I said, you can call me Sarah, you can call me mom, you can call me Llama. I'm going to love you either way, like regardless. And the kids liked that because they had the opportunity to choose. We still are working through some of the kinks with the different moms, but we're just trying to do what works best. I don't want confrontation or anything like that because we're going to be in each other's lives for a long time. Of course, there's going to be tough conversations, things like that. But it's all about the kids, how you were talking about earlier. Kids have a new perspective now on how I grew up or different things that I've done through my life or things like that. And it just brings a different perspective. And for Sedan and I, we just try to help the children be all around like good kids, and we respect their moms and everything like that. And in every which way is what we try to do. So.
And I'm gonna come back to it. Ebony, do you got anything to chime in on that?
You know, I do, but I actually have my husband here.
He's here today. Okay.
And he had some points if you didn't mind.
Absolutely, bring him on. Just tell him to introduce himself really fast, but yeah, absolutely.
Right on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alan Woodson. It's a pleasure to meet all of y'all on the panel tonight. Thank you for taking time to listen to what we may have to say. I guess in our role, I'm a bonus dad and my wife is a bonus mom, but we don't look at it as being a bonus. There's no such word to me as bonus. It's just being a leader or being a father to the children. And I think people need to take the concept of bonus out of the picture. And when you sit down and you allow the children to come together and you meet with all the children at one, and you kind of let them know what your role is, what your place is in the home, and that you're not coming in to take away from their biological, but you're coming in to show them something different and mentor to the children. Once they see what's really in place and how much love that you got to give them, they will not see it as a bonus either. I know my daughters, some people say stepdaughters, but my daughters, those are my hearts. They don't look at it as a bonus dad. When they call and it's an emergency, they say, "Dad, I need you," or "Dad, can you come to me?" It's not, "Hey, stepdad, I need you. It's hey dad, but it all started with the love. And I think that people need to take out the word stepfather or bonus dad in those situations or bonus moms and just sit down and have a conversation with the kids and get them to understand that this is not a bonus situation. This is a positive situation, and it can be a positive or negative depending on how you look at it. But we look to try to make this a positive situation.
I like that.
Yeah, I like, and I get it too, because my mom had 3 before being married or being with my papa, and then they had 4. And so we never, and most people wouldn't even know that we all wasn't my papas, because they've been together 30 something years. And so we've never had that, like, oh, this is my stepfather, and he didn't have any other kids but the siblings that he had with my mom. And so us growing up together, it's people to this day will probably see it and be like, oh, that ain't her father, because that's how it's always been. It wasn't like, oh, them your kids, as we came together. Even when I talk about Father's Day with him, like, I know my biological dad, so it's not like I didn't know him or he wasn't around in my life. I get them both something for Father's Day, and like my papa was the person who walked me down the aisle when I got married, not my father, but just knowing that, and like the differences, and when you're talking about growing up and being in that 2-parent household. I know a lot of times when we talk about being a single mother, because that's what I am now, and I want to ask the man this, because I've heard men say, you may be a single parent, but you're not like really a single mom, or you're a single mom, but not a single parent. I heard them say it both ways, especially if the father feel like they're in the child's life. So also, and I'm pretty sure Neo gonna speak on this, is that controversy when you as a mother or even a father say that you're single, even if the person is the other parent is in the life? Because I feel like if y'all not married, then y'all co-parenting, but I'm still single.
I don't take offense to that, because you have to look at the people. I think sometimes stuff is very simplistic. The gospel of Jesus is very simplistic. Life is very difficult, but it's very simple as well. You look at something and you look for the controversy in it. You're a single parent. You ain't single because I'm around. No, she's single because she's not married.
Right.
When you fill out an application, it says single. That means or married, divorced, or widowed.
Yeah.
So she's going to say single, and she's a parent because it's identifying she's not married to anyone, she's available, and she's a parent. When people do that, and that's just my opinion, it's because they're trying to hold another person captive of keeping them attached to them. She ain't attached to you. You have a child and you share a child and your parent, but she's not attached to you anymore. She's her own woman. She's going to be attached to someone else. Hopefully you will be attached to someone else, and you will share this child as one big family together, and you'll be happy. And I say that because I just recently got married a year ago, and my younger son, we've had to work through, okay, how is this going to be? I had him for a year and a half, 2 years, just me and him.
Yeah.
She comes into the picture. His mom's like, hey, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
I don't know her.
Right.
And it's just like the Whitson said, you have to then earn the respect of other people. You have to earn the respect. And then it becomes, guess what? He's a single father. Now he's with somebody. Guess what? I'm good with that.
Okay.
She's a single mother. She's with somebody. I'm good with that. Because the other person earns the respect. It all has to come down to, I have to respect it. There has to be boundaries set. That's your relationship. You're single. You're going to move forward. But we have this boundary set that I'm not going to get involved with that. The only thing I'm concerned about is what's happening with them. And I have to trust that you have enough love for your child that you're going to make the correct decision, Sedan, that when you choose this woman, she's going to be perfect for the kids because you don't want nothing to go wrong with them. And if you saw anything inside of that would be adverse to them, you'd be like, nah, she ain't the woman for me because this is a whole package deal.
Right.
We have to trust each other and have enough respect that I respect your decisions. I respect you enough to send them with you. So I respect enough that you're going to have people around them. You're single. You're still single, right? I'm just checking because we know she available. She don't want to be a single mom forever.
Nah, don't listen to me, y'all. This happens when you've been knowing somebody since y'all was little kids. Don't be sending me off on my show.
We're just saying.
Co-host.
I'm trying to help you out.
Marketing.
I'm trying to help you out.
Him and my brother.
You know, but I wanted.
I'm telling you, listen, don't get in that inbox, y'all. Don't do it. No.
But I wanted to ask Ebony this because Sarah touched on it. How was it for you? Because I've watched how my wife has kind of transitioned into role of gaining respect. She didn't even have to say anything to my son's mom, to their mom. She didn't have to say anything. She just.
But did you introduce them?
Yeah. Okay. She just went about being her. She just went about being her and just doing the things she had to do. She just went about being her. That was it. I'm just going to be me, and that was it. Even her family, we're just going to be us, and you can decide if you want to be involved in that or if you want to be on the outside, but we're just going to love all over you. And guess what? You'll eventually be like, man, I like this. Okay. You know what I mean? And then his mom was like, oh, okay, I don't care. I'm dropping them off. Where are you at? I'm at work. You don't got to bring them to me because guess what? That's the house that we live at. You drop them off there because you don't want them here with me.
Right.
So I want to know from Ebony, how was that for her? Because they have daughters and they have like 6. So when it's a number, it's a little bit different because you got a whole bunch of different attitudes going on.
And different things going on. Ebony, did you get that?
I'm here, yes. So just to reiterate the question, you're saying how was that transition between me and the fathers of my husband's children? The mothers of my husband's children?
Yeah, the mothers of the husband's
and then
children.
also because you had daughters that wasn't necessarily his biological, and that he was saying he knows sometimes that can be a little different. How is that as well?
And it can, at first it was a little bit different because they had a little bit of resentment because he has a daughter and my 2 daughters, their fathers were not in the picture. And so looking at the relationship that he had with his daughter at the time, it was kind of like, well, dang, my dad's not here. What did I do? Or why can't I have that? And so for a while they pushed back because they wanted to know and they wanted to see what was missing, or they thought that they did something wrong because their biological father was not in the picture. And he did just what you said. He just kept loving on them and just kept growing and building that relationship with them and letting them know, like, hey, I can't speak for your biological father, but I'm here and I'm trying to be that person for you. And it took some time. He even had to go through different situations with them, with their biological fathers, for them to see how present he was in their lives and to build that trust with him. But he was willing to do that. And I was willing to let him. Now, I didn't, having daughters, I wasn't like, you can't touch, you can't be with my girls. A lot of people are kind of like on the border when it comes to that, because when you have girls, girls are very impressionable, and I'm a daddy's girl, and my girls are daddy's girl. And so it was the thing where I wanted to allow them to have that relationship with them because I trusted my husband. I believe that he loved my children like I love his children. And so I allowed him to have that leeway with them. But we did have that struggle initially when it came with that because of the relationship that he had with his own daughter in the beginning. So now, like Swana said, when people see our kids, unless we tell you, you don't know
right.
that my babies are not his baby. There's no difference. Even with our sons, you don't know whose son is whose. We're a family, and it took some time to build that. Even with our, you said the relationship with the outside parents, it took time, and it wasn't that there was anything wrong with the way I was treating their kids. They had issues with us actually being in a relationship together in the beginning. Yeah, so now, like you said, we've gotten so far. Like I said, we're down here at Alabama taking his oldest to college, and the relationship that I have now with her mom is amazing. But did we have that in the beginning? No. And it took a lot of work to get there. And now, I can talk to her and I don't have to go through my husband. Or I don't have, I call her myself. I was never able to do that. And so we're all able to co-parent our daughter together. And so when I said, so to answer your question, the initial thing that we had with our daughter in the beginning was that resentment of his relationship with his daughter.
You want to jump in on that?
Oh no, I really enjoy hearing that, because that's the thing that affects it most. Yeah. Just being consistent. A lot of people become parents or co-parenting and they're not consistent with each other. And then you have allowed the children to see the adversities of the parenting. You on the phone yelling at mom, and they on the phone yelling, and you ain't gonna disrespect my wife, and you ain't gonna do this. They don't see any love. So now, trust me, that's their mother. Yeah. And if they hear you talking bad about their mother, they're gonna pick a side. Yeah. And the side most likely is not gonna be your side, because that's their mother, not yours. That's theirs. So they're gonna choose a side, and it goes vice versa. And I have learned throughout time that I don't care what the situation is, I never let my son hear anything I say bad about the mother. Because if I disagree with you, that's just a disagreement. Yeah. It's not that I dislike you. It's not that I hate you. So we just have a disagreement. Now, some people, it might be different. Now, there's been some days that I ain't been on this side of the thing where it was a matter of, man, I wish I see her somewhere. Yeah. But I had to understand and grow as a person to realize it's just a disagreement. We just fundamentally believe something different right now. And guess what? This too will pass. Yeah. But I can't let him see that, man, I don't like it. I can't go to him and, like we tend to do, even if we're upset with a brother or sister, we go to the other brother or sister and talk about that one. You can't go to the child and then, your mother, I'm just telling you, she get on my nerves. Why would you do that? Because again, you they parent, but that's their mother. And they're going to choose their mother's side. As much as they love you, they don't like it. Right. So you have to just stay consistent with keeping them out of that, loving on them and letting them know that, guess what? Hey, I didn't agree with that. They don't even need to know what's going on. You just love all over them. Because this situation that have happened, man, I don't tell them anything. I was mother for what? Hey, she loves you just as much as I do, and she's doing the best that she can with what she knows how to get you where she wants you to go. And sometimes we don't agree on the same street to take, but we're trying to get to the same destination
with the child. So, Pastor Ed, that leads me, and I know I'm throwing you in because you're a pastor. So I know you talked about your own part when you talk about the Mothers versus Father's Day, but being a pastor, and not that I want you to tell anybody business, but I'm pretty sure you have mothers or fathers or couples or relationships that come to you.
Don't get it.
I ain't gonna get into it, but I want names, but I'm just saying, then when I look at it as a pastor, you guys take on so much that you can't talk about, but then also with you being a father, and having maybe a mother and a father come to you, do it make you sit back sometimes and then reevaluate how you may feel or think about something? Or do you just still go through the godly wisdom? Because I often think about, I'm not married, but I still have married couples that come to me for some stuff. And I go, hey, I'm not married now, I'm divorced, but I can probably tell you what not to do.
Yeah, you still have to go through godly wisdom. Here's the thing, what you can't do as a pastor is try to put every relationship in one box.
Okay.
You cannot put every relationship in one box. And I know you guys talked about it a little earlier, but when the Bible talks about submitting yourselves one unto another, there are some characteristics that me and my wife have that transfer to our children, but there are some roles and things in the home that would be unorthodox because I do some things better than her and she does some things better than me.
Right.
I do most of the cooking. I do most of the grocery shopping.
Look at God.
And my wife is, I was laughing. I do most of the grocery shopping, but my wife tonight, it was funny. She was like, "Oh, you going to this panel tonight, man? What are we gonna do for dinner now?" But again, that's because I like to cook. So you can't put people in specific roles. What people have to do is understand what they do well and understand what they need to submit to. Okay. Too oftentimes people trying to do something that they need to submit to their spouse to because they're trying to go into these specific roles. Well, I'm the man, I got to do this. If you horrible with money, I need you to let your wife
please
take care of the money. If you don't know how to save, if you don't know how to pay bills, well, I'm the man, I got to do this. No, submit thyself one unto the other.
Yeah.
Because I always tell married couples this, it's not about your way. It's not about his way or her way. It has to be a place where it becomes our way.
Right.
And when it becomes our way, then we have this decree, we have this way that we do a thing in our house. But we can't walk into a relationship saying it's going to be done my way because my mama did it this way and her mama did it this way and her mama did it. And then the other person saying, no, it got to be this way. No, what works for both of you all?
Right.
In a marriage relationship. So no, even when people come to you, you got to figure out what the deal is first. You can't jump into and start solving problems with he did this or she did that. No. It takes way more. It takes way more digging to figure out, because every marriage, you can't put everybody in the same box.
And really quick, so it's an assembly, and it was saying for generations they had cut off the bottom piece of the roast, and they was like, "This is how my grandma made it. This is how her great grandma made it." And one of the granddaughters said, "Why do we do it?" And so they went back and they talked to the grandmother, and she said, "Baby, because the pot I had wasn't big enough." So it became a family thing, but it wasn't because like it did something so significant. The pot wasn't big enough, so they cut it off and seasoned it. But everybody they seen it. And they assembled themselves in the same way. It wasn't until somebody said, well, why do we cook it this way? And just thinking about that. And then just to go back to a couple comments, somebody said the parents have to learn to respect and trust each other before even bringing in the companion.
Yeah.
And so I guess they were saying when we were talking about the bonus or not bonuses, it's saying like they have to learn to respect each other even before you have a companion. And then somebody else said in the same context, a man can't teach a woman certain things. I'm sorry, y'all, I was missing it. I try to go back and forth, but I guess they was talking about when we were saying a man can do things a man can do. You can't be the mother, when we talk about the mother and father. But then also, Rich, with you being what people consider a single dad and you've had your kids for years, how does that make for your day in life? Because I know with single mothers, with me, it was so many years where I didn't want to date nobody. And my excuse was, I'm going to be honest, it's like, I got too much going on. My kids are too young. And my sister friend was like, girl, you got every excuse in the book for what you don't want to do. But I just felt like as a single mother too, I had way too much going on with my babies in my household to even think about dating at one point in my life.
Dating for me, really... It switched up for me. I had two things going on. One, I was in the streets, right? Then
he was in the streets, y'all, for real too. Don't let that blazer fool you. So, but
I decided to get an education, right? So I had to go through that process, and then I came out wearing suits. Then I got this Beamer, y'all know I got suits on them in real estate. My job is to meet people. So
Stock winner.
They like, I'm finna catch.
So I'm like, yeah, okay, y'all, it's on.
Yeah, he might be single. I don't know.
My babies came, and then all of those women that I thought were in my corner, they were like, oh, you got kids now. Oh, you got kids now, huh? We can't go out, or did you find a babysitter? Or I'm so happy some of his kids, and now you show how we do. I went through all of that, right? So then I came to a point, I was like, well, y'all, do I show my boys and my daughter Ricky Fontaine with all the ladies?
He was ready.
Do I show them, mother and father, stuff like that? And I played, I was on the thin line, but I decided to show them, be with one woman, respect this woman, show her this, show her that, and I want to take this time to say, shout out to the bonus parents, bonus mom, bonus dad, because y'all go through a lot, and some of them confidence are kind of shaky up in there. But those who stay through it, those kids are so happy. I got enough bonus dad shirts to start to count. But how
many relationships you been in? Now, that's different. Don't go there. We don't got to go there. Different topic.
But yeah, as far as dating go, I just took things how they came. It was just like, well, how are you? How are you? How are things in your house? How are things in your lifestyle? This is my package deal right here. And if it didn't work, it didn't work. I really didn't pursue it after I know I didn't have nobody to watch my kids or babysitter canceled. So it was like, you know what, just don't even worry about that part. Focus on business, focus on this. And then somebody will come to you and y'all will meet up where you'll be able to do what it is that you can possibly do, or just link up with your kids, holler at this mom or that mom, or gel with this family or something like that. But it really wasn't a dating life. So hey, I hate there.
I like you because I think people look out to be dating them. That's why you don't find anybody. Right. As a disclaimer, hopefully he is single too. I did it just quite. I seen him when he was walking up, and I'm telling you, he got it going on. You know, I like my man Rich right here. You know what I mean?
Listen, Rich really be jumping when it be the single man. It's like he got that beamer.
You always judge the shoes. I'm looking at his shoes, and they pretty nice. So y'all gonna do all right.
Thank you.
But I want to ask Sarah, them, especially along the lines with that, when you two got together and you knew he had children, do you have any? No, she don't. Were there certain qualities that you were looking to see? Okay, I see he has kids. Let me see if he has those qualities that he has. Were there certain qualities that you look to say, does she have some motherly qualities that I can see that's going to benefit not only me, but benefit my children, because she has to be an asset to us. She has to make me and stretch me and make me grow, and stretch and make them grow as to, hey, if that doesn't happen, we're better off by ourselves. I like her, but what else is it to her? Was it certain things that you were looking for in each other and that parenting and co-parenting aspect to know that it would work?
I think so. I knew before I even had a conversation with Sedan. We met in the middle of a protest, and
I know that I watched it on Facebook.
And in his speech that I was like, who is this guy? He's like, I got 5 kids, 5 baby mamas. I'm like, I come from a big family, and my mom's been running a daycare ever since I was in 2nd grade. So I didn't have a problem with kids. I think my biggest thing that I wanted to know right off the bat is he a good father? Is he an active father? Is he consistent? Is he the man of his word? I think that's big as well. And a leader, because we have 4 boys and a girl. So he's got to be a leader. And I think that falls on both parents. But when he was a single father, is he a leader? Is he there for his children? Is just those types of qualities, I guess. And how he introduced me to, second time we went out, I met the oldest right away. And he had no problems. This is Sarah. Like, there was no question about it. And of course, we had to introduce moms, things like that. But there was just no question. This is Sarah. She's in my life. She's my partner. That's how it is. And it was like, okay, great. I was honestly shocked at how the kids just absorbed right away. It was like, okay, great. Sarah and Dad right away. And but I think how Sedan approached, hey, I have 5 children. I see them these times. This is it worked. And how you were talking about finding babysitters, everything like that. It's, hey, we got the kids. They're coming along. They're a package deal. How you were talking about. I knew that right away. That wasn't a problem for me. I think some people, they were like, wow, he's got 5 kids. I'm like, hey, I love them. They're great. So I think you got to find someone who is like that.
And it takes strength to say that, to say, okay, he got 5 kids. This is my people right here.
Because I wonder if it was a woman with 5 kids, would it be the same scenario?
Right. See, that's funny, because I asked him, I said, if I had kids, would it been the same? And he said no. So I was like, okay. So I think different mindset, different time in individuals' lives. Because even in the past year, I've seen him grow tremendously. Yeah. So I think it could be timing as well, and maturity. How people have met certain individuals or have been influenced by certain individuals as well.
And I don't know if you have some, but that story of how Ebony met her husband. Ebony, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. We got about 5 minutes before we got to head out.
Okay, so could you tell us really quick how y'all actually met?
You want to tell your story for once, since you say I always tell it wrong.
Oh, yeah, because I
the
never
woman
heard
always tells it wrong. I always tell it wrong.
Here, you tell.
No, you know yourself.
Here, you tell it right then.
No, her version of the story is that I was stalking her.
Yes, it is.
I believe you already, brother. They always say we stalking them.
Yeah, I'm not one, even though I may have had my eye on her a little bit. I wasn't stalking her. You know, she knew that I was smooth when I stepped out that ride with that long coat on, that fresh suit. She knew what time it was. She tried to ask me, man, where you get your car detailed at? She was really trying to come on to me. And that is the story, but no, the truth is though, our children actually ended up going to school together, and we didn't know it. And I used to joke with my two children on the way to school, being a single dad at the time, trying to raise my children. We would always pass my wife in a car, but we used to pull into school in opposite directions, and so we never actually saw each other during that particular time period. But I used to tell my children, I said, look over at that lady in that car. I said, that's gonna be y'all mama. But the entire time we never knew we were actually going to meet. And my daughter, she kept saying, Dad, I want to have some friends over by the house. Dad, I want to have some friends over. When you gonna let me have some friends over to come and spend the night at the house? But not knowing that the entire time it was my wife's daughters that she actually wanted to come by the house. We ended up, me and my wife met at a gas station while I was on. She was on her way to work, and so was I. But we, kind of talked a little bit, but didn't really connect at that particular point. It wasn't until a school program that we went to the school and we both walked in and we looked at each other like we know each other, but the two girls came together and they said, hey, this is who I want to come by and stay tonight, Dad. And we both looked at each other and was like, you know what, that might be all right. And so,
yeah, her side was so different. No.
Yeah. She was trying to I know she was trying to put it out there that I was stalking her, but it was all good. I did have my eye. It worked out.
It worked out.
It definitely worked out, and glory be to God. Here we are today. So I'm very thankful for that.
And thank you so much for coming out. You gotta go, and then I'll play the sponsor videos as well too. But could y'all shout out the organization that you guys started together about the blended family? I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Yes, you are correct. So we started an organization called Blended Love. It's spelled BLEND. Instead of ED, it's 3D Love. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook. We are we are also working on a website, but we are a nonprofit organization, a 503c. This organization was started to help find resources for those that do not have the resources for mixed families, or if they haven't, whether it's children, mothers, fathers, having problems. And most people don't even know that they have a blended family, because a blended relationship, anytime you bring somebody from the outside, you're blending something into that relationship, whether you know it or not. And so we're just trying to provide the resources and information that is not here to help people along the way.
Thank you. And so for those that's listening and tuning in, go check them out. They do a lot of great stuff in the community. And especially if you have a blended family for Blended Love, I think making sure you guys connect would be great. Once again, thank you both for coming on. We go to the sponsor videos right quick.
Thank you for having me.
Taylor Legacies wants to thank our sponsors, Reed's Newgate Funeral Home. It's a family-owned business, and they specialize in professionalism, dedication, and they are truly committed to serving each family. Located at 5665 North Titonia Avenue in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 414-358-0538. With compassion and care, they are dedicated to making a difficult time easier.
certain stuff I don't allow my wife to do. She can't wash clothes. No.
We back on. So y'all, we back on
session.
right quick. We had got into another conversation. So if anybody know me, they know my baby Bam, who is not so much of a baby no more. And Lord, pray for us, because he in them teenager years where I'm gonna hurt him. So today my girls told him to take out the garbage, and he said, "So all y'all was in the house, and I got to take out the garbage." She gonna say, "But don't the Bible say the woman should cook and clean?" Oh, I got off that couch. I wasn't even dressed yet. I was like, "I'm sorry. What did you say for you be put out today?" And he tried to like. No, he tried to go to the scripture with me. His mama.
Did he find it?
He didn't have to find it because the door was where he was gonna find. But
did he find it where he said you're supposed to cook?
No, he didn't find it. He almost got put out. But I had to have that conversation with him about being a young man, but also being respectful. What do you mean the woman should cook and clean? And where do you get off saying, "Oh, it came from the Bible"? And it tells us that children will, like you said, utilize stuff against you, because he grew up in the church, but the fact that I told him that's not you having respect for your mother or your sisters, because you took it to be a bad thing and they should have been doing something because they was a woman and you was a young man. And so all of us up here, our parents, even if we're saying bonus parents, like in situations like that, because I'll be transparent and use myself. How do you guys think that a person should deal with that? Because my thing was like from 0 to 100. Like I had to get up and make sure like this couldn't be my son, because I know today when his last day living, God can tell me that, so I had to get myself together. But then I had to have a real conversation with him in the car as we was going somewhere, and he kind of looked at it differently. But I thought about maybe if I would have just spazzed out kind of and then not went back and had a real conversation with him, how that could have affected how he absolutely do look at women.
Well, for me, it's just certain stuff that I'm good at that she's not good at. Yeah. She's good at that. Like he said, he does predominantly of the cooking because he's a better cook.
Yeah.
I can cook, but I'm being honest. I told her when we got married, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I don't like cooking.
She ain't a great cook, but now she is.
Oh, okay.
I'm better with laundry. I have a lot of it piled up right now, so excuse me. She probably see, but I'm better with it. I have a system on how to do it. I can fold like I'm still in retail with the folding board and get it all folded and nice and neat. She doesn't like washing clothes, and she made it be known from the get-go. I hate washing clothes. So you have to have an understanding, and then you instill that in your kids. My mother, when I was a young kid, let us know you are going to know how to do everything to take care of yourself, because there will be a time that I won't be here as your mother and you will probably be by yourself. And that means there won't be anyone around to do anything. So you need to know how to take care of yourself. But when you become one with somebody, guess what? It might be a time where she's sick. You're going to have to cook.
Right.
You're this way. She's going to have to pick up the slack with you. So you have to be all encompassing of everything, and then know what you are best at, what works for you.
Right.
If I'm the better cook, but I get off at 8:00 at night, guess what? I probably won't be doing the cooking. She probably will. And I have to respect the fact that it ain't going to be how I like it all the time, because I'm not available to do it. Right. You just have to find out what works for you. And that kind of goes into what he was saying when you're talking about the marriage advice for people.
Yeah.
I don't give marriage advice. Okay. As a pastor, I'm not giving anyone marriage advice. I'm going to give you what the scripture says of the sanctity of marriage and how you are supposed to treat each other. But if you have some marriage issues, that means you have some communication problem. That means you have that. Guess what? I don't have a degree in how to help you with communication issues, because I got to go to the Lord and somebody else on how I need to communicate with my wife. I can't give that to you. You need to seek a professional that can give you tools that's specific for you and your personality on how to communicate with another person. I can give you biblical advice and scriptural advice on the sanctity and how it's supposed to go and how you're supposed to treat your household and all those things. But there's some advice as a pastor we just can't give you. And they want us to do it. And guess what? We go through the same thing you do. And we have friends who are in the same role, or other people who, guess what? We get on the phone. And now I got another friend now that I can call, and I'm going to say, hey, pastor.
And he's solid.
Me and First
He's
Lady
solid.
had some issues, man. I need to get it off my chest.
Yeah,
Man,
solid.
And I need you to talk to me because I'm outside of Pastor Neil right now. I'm just in Neil and I need some help.
Right.
So we have to realize there's certain stuff that we just can't help, and there's certain stuff that you shouldn't put them in the position to, because the way him and his wife does it is not the way that's going to work for you and your wife. You know, it's not going to happen. We back to we just need to teach our sons and our daughters everything. Women, my wife takes out garbage. My mother-in-law, she shovels snow.
Take out garbage.
And it amazed me because my mother never shoveled snow.
Oh, I'm not shoveling.
It was a blizzard. And my mother-in-law beat me outside of their house and shoveled 3 lots of snow.
Yes, no.
3 lots. Because guess what? Her husband worked at night. So he wasn't available at night to shovel snow. And you will find some women that say, guess what? It's just going to pile up.
Yes.
And then when he get off work, he going to be out there till 4 in the morning.
Maybe so.
And he going to get some Epsom salts and some Tiger Balm.
I got him
because he going to be
I got him
hurting.
some tea too, because I'm not shoveling. And I know that might sound bad, but also, like you said, you got to know your lane and what you do. So I want the other man to chime in too. But when you talked about that, I remember Bishop Hines said one day, he said, sometimes as pastors or people in leadership, we are medicating things we should be praying for. And sometimes we're praying for things that should be medicated. I've always remembered that. Always remembered it. So when we talk about pastors or marriage advice and stuff like that, like, especially in the communities of color, it's okay to see a therapist. I know we often don't want to talk about mental health, and that's definitely another subject, but it is okay to go get help from somebody and not feel like it's a weakness.
I got a quick question. How old is Belle now?
15.
15.
Yeah.
When he said the women's supposed to cook and clean, and the men's supposed
he
to
took
take
that
out
garbage out while he was saying it too.
But from another perspective, like I tell my boys, I was like, well, how you gonna win her over? And they looking like, what? Like,
but that's the thing, he cooks.
You know,
this boy can cook from
like,
scratch.
how you
He has
gonna
a
win her
cooking
over?
business. So I don't know if today he was just, but he
just didn't want to take that garbage out.
Oh, he took it out as he was saying it. He took the garbage out. But yeah.
Right. I'm dealing with something similar with my son. He's 13. He's about to be 14.
Yeah.
His mom like, you need to talk to him. You need to talk to him. She won't let me get more time with him because she just want to be in control of everything. I was like, all right, you control that. But she's going into his room doing the same little thing that she normally did while he until that age.
Okay.
And now he's rejecting it. And I had to tell her, I said, he's 14. You better be lucky we can still call him Tuda Bear.
Okay.
Because
Oh, I know. Hey, Tuda Bear. I'll be back. Hey, Tuda.
Pastor, you gonna be getting the phone call because
but that's my baby, though. That's my baby. But
stop calling me back.
He's maturing, and it's like, hey, you can't keep doing what you're doing to him. Like, you got to understand something. He growing hair and all this other stuff, So that was just my take on it.
Okay. And I want to take that in too, because I think sometimes I do still look at him as little Bam, and now he about to be this 6 foot, 200 something bed, and he mama, and I'm like, oh, hold on. I don't care how deep your voice is, get back. But yeah.
Go ahead, Sarah.
You were mentioning before how they're the kind of like the gender roles, where you were having that conversation, and Sedan and I had this kind of conversation because I was brought up. I have 3 brothers. I'm the second youngest, and my parents taught us everything. Same thing. You're going to be out there shoveling with us when there's snow. You're going to be taking out the trash. You're going to be folding. You're going to be doing everything. And I wanted, like when my dad's changing the wheel or something, I wanted to know that because I wanted to be independent. Well, then Sedan and I get together, and I'm independent. I've been on my own, and his mother taught him, no, you do these certain things. So, I mean, it was as simple as taking out the trash. I was like, I got it. He's like, no, I got it. So it's those simple things, but I think it's really just like how you brought up or anything like that. But we definitely had that. I mean, even as adults trying to figure that out.
But the beautiful thing is you respected the fact that he wanted to take it out and wasn't, no, I'm independent. I can do it. It's like, okay, that's what you want to do, honey. Go ahead.
I appreciated it. It's like,
Appreciate
okay,
it.
great,
Go ahead.
thank you. But it was an adjustment, even like opening the door. Of course, I always wanted a gentleman to open the door for me. But it was just like an automatic, what I was just used to. So, I just loved it.
Wow. John, you was gonna say something? Oh, you had jumped up at first. Now he like, no. He like, I ain't getting in trouble on this show. Like, I ain't getting in trouble.
I was gonna ask you to say I forgot how the scenario went with your son.
Oh, so I heard my daughter saying take out the garbage. And even while he was getting it, he said, so all of y'all, and he's it's not covered, so all of y'all in this house, right? And I got to take out the garbage. Didn't the Bible say the one cooking clean? That's what made me get up. I didn't mind him arguing because they siblings. It was like, didn't the Bible say what you say? I'm like, oh, no, I know I hear you.
And I was thinking of it just because it almost seemed like it could be that he felt like a responsibility was projected on him as a male, right? Because we've been talking about these roles, and it was automatically a thing where, well, you're the man in the house. This is what men do. And contrast, because I think that's more so the way I'm taking it. It was definitely a combat, probably misspoken and again out of context of scripture, which is not there. But I see it more so as him saying, well, you are telling me as the male in the house that I'm supposed to take out the garbage. He should have left the Bible part out and more so said, well, you should be cooking and cleaning. You know what I mean? So I think it was more so a gender role battle in contrast to him really trying to defend biblically that it is the role of women to cook and clean. So I don't think he meant any harm by it per se. I think he was just saying, well, yeah, there were all the women in the house, and you're projecting on me that because I'm the male figure, I should be the one taking out the garbage. Well, because you're the female figure in the house, then you should be washing the dishes and cooking, right? So that's more so the way I heard it, but I wanted to make sure I heard it correctly, which is why I asked you to repeat the scenario. That's just
look at her. It still ain't sitting good with her.
I absolutely get where you're coming from as you guys are saying it. And it was more to his sister, not to me, because it was siblings. But I just also, as a woman and a mother, it just made me sit up and be like, woo, no, I'm not raising no young man to feel like that. And the thing about it is, Bam love to cook. And so for him to say it like that, maybe it was more the gender role.
That's why I agree with John. You had to really look at the context of the thought process behind why he would say it.
And I'm thinking like adolescent male. And,
and y'all available to take it out.
Things that come with the territory of being an adolescent.
Oh
male.
he be trying it. Yeah, he be trying it, but he tried to put the Bible on there and thought he was gonna help him. Like,
that was his only go-to move. You had to go to. That was only. He knew his sisters wasn't gonna go look it up. That was his only go-to move.
Yeah, see, he the Bible person. He knew his sisters were go. They was gonna be like, oh, okay. No, they still weren't gonna do that. They still weren't gonna do that, but on the word part, he kind of trumped them. So even though he's younger.
I wanted to also circle back to like when you were talking about the single parent thing, like and I was just thinking that's another nuance that we typically have because up until probably this past year, where I was in a classroom teaching with a single father, I was stigmatized or think when I heard single parent, for some reason, I automatically thought of a single mom, right? I didn't think, oh, single dad, like until that, like I thought more about it when he would come and talk about his grudges and things like that, when he felt as though the mothers of his children were using his children against him by saying like, you're not gonna spend time with, like they're mad at him and then use the child to be like, basically to manipulate the situation or what have you. And so I just wanted to circle back to that and for whatever reason.
Yeah, but I think it goes back.
I don't know if it was like how relevant it is. Like 2 hours later.
Right, you was like, oh, hold on. But
right,
I think
let's circle back 5 hours later.
But it goes back to the stigma that when you heard single parent, you automatically thought about a single mother.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I always, and up until this past year, that's what I would think. Like single parent, I was single mom, and then like. Now I have more of a respect and appreciation for a single dad. You know what I mean? Just as much as a single mom, but it's just so much that goes with that from anywhere where, you know, to get assistance, you know, from the government, you would have to dismiss the male figure in the household in order to get that assistance and so forth. And so, I'm just being repetitive.
No, that's good though.
You know, it's something that Rich said that I think a lot of us really don't look at with children as they start growing up. As they start growing up, we still, especially, and there's no offense to moms with their sons, we still want to keep them in that role as our little baby, the little guy that he's my little baby.
Yeah,
and now he's 13 or 14. And he don't want you to do the same stuff that you did for him when he was a little baby. He don't want you going in his room, fixing his stuff and putting it in certain places. Guess what?
Not want me in his
he
room
wants
at all.
to throw his iPod over there and his phone over here, and he wants to sit it in the way that's suitable for him. But mom wants to go in and she wants to put his underwear in the drawer,
decorate,
put the stuff there. And he's not feeling that anymore because he's moving into manhood. And now he has to start creating a space for himself within the space of everything else. And even the daughters with mom, they have to start creating a space within your space that is theirs, that they have to then start becoming an adult over. And I don't think we really realize that. That's teaching them how to keep a house. That's teaching them how to take care of their property. And we still do it. And then we wonder why I just bought you that phone and you don't want to take care of it. I bought you this, you don't want to take it. Because guess what? We are still taking care of it. But we want you to assume responsibility and take ownership. But we're still treating you like babies in the midst of that. When I should say, that's your space. Take care of everything in your space. But I'm going to, guess what, oversee from the outside that you do right by it. Instead, we want to control it. And they don't grow up to be adults. They grow up to be 20-year-old men that have little Tonka cars that when they were sitting on the couch, but now they're 20-year-old men sleeping on our couch and they have a big car outside and they still are that same little boy because we never gave them responsibility. Or the same girl that she had a baby down. Now she has a baby and she's at your house, but she doesn't have the responsibility because you're still doing the same thing. You're watching the kid, feeding them. You're doing everything for her. You never gave her a chance to have her space to create it for her own.
Okay, that's definitely another topic.
Yeah, I
could have went in, but I ain't because I'm trying to wrap it up. And so I know it was the mothers versus father, but we kind of snatched the Band-Aid off tonight, and that's what I wanted to do. So we go a little deeper. And I heard you, Neo, when you said when we put the verses in there, we add to the controversy. You know, and so when we think about our wording or how we think about something or the words that we say, or even the perception that we have within ourselves, because often with me, I would say, no, I don't feel like I have a bias. But then when you start to have conversations, you think about it. In my esteem, if y'all remember what I said last time, we had an event for Father's Day, and the man started telling me, I bet you wouldn't have had this big old event on Mother's Day. And I was like, yes, I would. I go to plenty of events on all holidays. I don't get holidays off. I'm always somewhere. But when I looked at it from the man's perspective, it was like on Mother's Day, they have these glamorous things for mothers. But on Father's Day, y'all like, well, I guess we could just do whatever. You know, like the men are still barbecuing in his Father's Day. And so I think even within myself as being a woman, sometimes just trying to look at it differently. And even if I want to say sometimes I'm not biased, there may be some biases in there. And then how do we come to terms with that to say, hey, sometimes you do have to check yourself and just look at stuff differently. So I thank y'all for this conversation.
How much time do we have?
Second one, huh?
How much time we got?
We got time, but I was trying to wrap it up. But go, you got something to say?
I just want to give each one of them, like,
oh, they gonna have a chance to say something.
No, to really express themselves about parenting it, because it's hard to find quality people. And let me say that. It's hard to find quality people that get together on a regular basis and expose themselves and be transparent with the world about their difficulties as parents, about transitioning into parenthood, transitioning into marriage and blended families. You know, it is difficult.
Transitioning into trying to market us off.
No, yeah, and being single parents, you know, too. You know, it's a blessing to see that, because in this day and age, a lot of people try to keep their lives so to themselves, not realizing that it takes a village, not just to raise a child, but a village to raise up people. You're always still a child. I don't care how old you are, and you still can take some rearing. And it takes a community of people to be able to see other people just like you, hear other people to know, guess what? I'm like Sedan, 5 kids. Who would have want, people would say that me and him are tainted people, and who would want to marry you? Who would want to be with you? But there's women who, guess what, bring out the best in us to make us better fathers, better parents than what we already were. And they saw something in us at that particular point. You know what I mean? So it's just to have a collection of people who are all from different pathways, 2 pastors who are got to be in this place the same way. A guy who came from being in the streets to now, if you would have saw what he drove up in, my Lord.
I know, that nice car. We gonna stop saying it, Rich, because they finna be at you now. I'm gonna stop saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, Rich, you doing something? You know, to see that. And, you know, I just want to touch it. And even, and not to say this, and I hope they're not offended, but to see a blended family of mixed race that met in the middle of a protest of Black Lives Matter, that are happily married with a blended family that don't have controversy on ends, but are loving all over each other, that show that, guess what? This is what the world is like. Absolutely. And there's people out there like you, and you have to embrace it. And it's only God that can allow this to happen. Right. So I just want to say that.
Yeah,
so
they
all
absolutely got time for that.
You know.
We'll wrap it up. So now you put him on the spot. Who you think? Which one of them you think going first? No,
Ricky Fontaine.
No.
Ricky Fontaine.
Ricky Fontaine first.
As far as parents go, you gotta do your best. And I guess I'm not the youngest person in the room, but the ladies are, but they always gonna be.
I'm telling you, man, older guys in our age bracket is on fire right now.
Right. But I want to talk to the younger crowd who they don't really have people to talk to. They just go back and forth with the baby mother and stuff like that, or the kid's father, and then they put each other on blast and they manipulate the situation. Young men, build your foundation. Go to work. It starts there. Build your foundation. Learn about credit. I learned about credit sleeping in my car, going to the library every day. So that's where I learned about credit. And then use what you learn to build that foundation up. And then young ladies, if he didn't stepped out, okay, build your foundation up. Do the best that you can do. And then as far as the bonus people go, I know y'all don't like the word, but man, you are some dope individuals, period. Because some people came into my life and helped me out with my kids and introduced us to some new things. And then it was ultimately other people on the outside of them. You with him and he got these kids, or you with her and she got these kids. But do what's in your heart, because those kids are ultimately looking at you, you know. So y'all some dope individuals. But as far as parenting goes, just do the best you can, and don't just, these kids act up, but they ultimately come back around. I had to learn something new, and then I taught it to my children, and then now they know, oh, when I get this age, I'm buying the real estate. I'm buying the house. So I'm buying this car. I want this business. My daddy taught me to send my paper soldiers out there and bring back an army of them, so we can keep on doing stuff, because we don't know how long we quarantine. But you know, you got to have your money working for you. But yeah, just do the best you can as a parent. Show up, be persistent and consistent in those children's lives, and give respect where respect is due.
I would say, as a parent, I would encourage you, there is more value in who you are than what you say. Yeah. There's more value in the living, breathing, talking, walking example that you set than what you tell them. It's not a do what I say, not as I do world. It is I see how you are, and you are modeling before me as a parent of how I handle adversity, how I handle controversy, how do I handle disappointment, but how do I handle the good times? You know, it's funny how we say, I don't want to be like my parents, and then 75% of us is like our parents. Right. Or why? Because what they modeled in front of us is what we became, even the stuff we didn't want. We didn't want. And so I think we have to be mindful of that. We have to be conscious of that. My wife and I are a team, and our home is peaceful. I love being at home because there's peace in my house. And my son had to learn, when you go out to other places, it ain't gonna be peace like it is at home. But what I want to also say to parents is this, train up a child in the way that they should go. And even if they depart from it, they will one day come back to a foundation that you said. There's so much access to information that they have so many things that can influence them. Even if your children make bad choices, that's not a reflection of you. Even if and so what we do as parents is we will then turn on our children because you making me look bad. Or we turn on our children because I ain't raised you like that. Yeah. So you got to understand there's so much of an influence out there on your children. Make sure that you just keep influencing and you just keep influencing and you just keep influencing. And as you keep going, they'll return to that. They're going to be more like you than you want them to be. Just remember that. And so don't throw your kids out or throw them away because they made a bad choice. You made bad choices. You made choices in rebellion and you were still loved. So still love on them babies, but understand what you model before them is what eventually they'll become.
That's a hard thing to back up there.
Like, I ain't coming after that.
Last time they made me go.
I should have mimicked that. I think everything that needed to be said was said. I mean, I think that the longer I have been here on earth, something that I realize and recognize is that relationships are hard.
Yes.
Right? Relationships are challenging. Relationships are difficult. Whether you're talking about a husband and a wife, a friend and a friend, a mother and a daughter, mother and a son, a dad and a daughter, a dad and a son. Relationships are definitely difficult, but I think, as it has already been said, as we work through those difficulties within the relationship, whether we're talking about parenting, co-parenting, etc., I think we have to remember and recognize that it's bigger than us. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, every relationship that God has ordained here on earth is bigger than us. It's more so about putting him on display more than anything. And so when we're looking at challenges with parents and children and parents wanting to give up on their child, we have to go back 2,000 years ago, right? And look at the crucifixion, where we have a God who is incarnate, stretching his arms wide and nails going into his feet and thinking, oh, he came for something bigger than himself. And it was us that he came for. And so when we contextualize that in the practicality of our own lives and the relationships that we have, we recognize that it's bigger than us, right? And it's putting ultimately God's glory on display when we rectify or reconcile relationships that may have been broken, mothers embracing daughters that they had issue with, or fathers embracing sons that they had issues with, or co-parents reconciling their differences and coming together and thinking at the core of this, it's about our children and putting God on display even through the reconciliation that takes place. So that's what I would say.
Man, hey, delete this, because I am going to go back and copy everything he said and use it on Sunday.
Told you that theology. We live.
I'm going to use. He just gave me my clothes on my sermon. I'm going to use it.
No, I have to follow all of you.
He like, now give me my percentage.
I I have some intelligent fathers on this panel. Okay. I think just for like a takeaway for me is as a new mother, new wife, is really just communication. I mean, try to model a good behavior and be who you truly are. I always try to be a good person, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. And I talk about that with the kids all the time. It's we're still learning. My husband and I are learning, we're reading, we're implementing right away, and we're seeing how it affects the kids in a positive way and could be a negative way if we're doing something negative. So things that we're working on is what we're learning, we're implementing. Rich, you're talking about how you're teaching your kids what you learn. That's something that we're very consciously working on. So I don't have all the biblical verses that you guys have, but definitely appreciate being on the panel with all of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. So tonight we're going to end. And I know it was Mothers versus Father. I got to say it again, but I felt like we snatched the Band-Aid off tonight and went a little deeper, which I love.
Literally your Band-Aid.
Yes, my Band-Aid. And Bam inboxed me and said, turn son, we can see your Band-Aid and the light or something. I was like, boy, but I love him. It's my baby. But as we continue the conversation too, and even changing the Mothers versus Father, of course it won't be like next month or nothing, but to bring us on, because I don't think it should just stop with parenting. When we talk about even relationships, love, career, community, and how did that affect us within our relationship, whether we're talking about wife and husband, dating, co-parenting, it's so much more that I think people need to hear, because a lot of times you only see some glorious stuff with people, but when you really snatch the Band-Aid off and you showing your transparency, it helps somebody. And all of the time we may think it's for us, but I often think our testimony, because y'all know I'm a faith giant too, but our stories help somebody else know that they can make it out. So I truly thank you all for coming on tonight and being very transparent. Neo probably in trouble, but that's on him.
No, I love you.
Hey, can I get one shameless plug for you?
Absolutely.
I got one shameless plug, y'all. My baby, my heart, my soul is my stage play. Are you ready?
Yes, how we met.
It's gonna be there this Friday in Milwaukee at El Bethel Kojic on 5401 West Browndale Road at 7 p.m. sharp. I'm going to put it in the comments. You can go to the website, www.areyoureadyplay.com. It is in the times that we are in. Everybody in here knows somebody who's suffered something from COVID. Everybody in here has known somebody, whether it's directly or indirectly, who suffered. I really want us, my heart and soul is for every last one of us to be ready to stand before the Lord before we take our final breath, and to maximize our rewards once we get there. I want the Lord to say, well done, my good and faithful servant, to each and every one of you. So I want to invite each of you out this Friday, 5401 West Browndale Road, El Bethel Kojic, 7 p.m. sharp. I start on time. I don't play. So when I say 7, it don't mean 7:38. It means 7 to 7:01 we start. So I just want to invite y'all. There is no charge. Admission. Look, there is no admission, but it's not cheap. I guarantee you it'll be one of the best productions you've ever seen in your life. A production that's going to hit you straight in your heart. It is no admission, not because it's cheap, because I want you to can't say I couldn't afford to go. So come on out. And my wife texted me to make sure I reminded us that good kids make mistakes too. So we have to let them learn in their mistakes and not beat them down in their mistakes. I like that. So yeah, good children also make mistakes. Oh, it's Good Hope Road. She just texted me again. 5401 West Good Hope Road.
I'm like, Good Hope. That's
Good
my
Hope
district.
Road. I'm sorry.
Yes, Good Hope.
Good 5401 West Good Hope Road. Thanks, honey. But yes, good children make mistakes, and so we can't beat them up in their mistakes. They got to learn just like we learn, and so we love them through their mistakes, and then that helps them to grow to who they become.
That's what we're talking about.
I just want to mention something real quick. Since we do have mothers and fathers, Friday from noon to 7 at Sherman Park, we're having the 5th annual Seville Smith annual book bag drive. So everything's free. We'll have free book bags, fully stocked book bags, haircuts, hairstyles, free food, bounce houses. We're teaching the kids how to screen print. We'll have artists. We'll have, I believe, a flipping contest. So we got all sorts of stuff. So it's all free. Bring the kids. You do have to have a parent and a child to get a backpack.
Yes.
There'll be tickets handed out, but it's a family-friendly event, so come out. Even if you don't have kids, come out and support. It'll be a lot of fun.
And how can they reach you if somebody is looking to donate or sponsor? Because you guys give back to the community all the time.
So I would say Facebook. So myself, Sarah, S-A-R-A, Smith, or my husband, Sedan Smith. That would probably be the best option. We are pretty much on top of our messages right away. There's a Facebook page for 5th Annual Seville Smith Book Bag Drive. Get in touch with Sequana. She can get in touch with us right away, but we're really excited about it.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Please plug.
I have no shameless plug.
No. Rich.
Just want to thank you for having me.
The money man.
Rich Real Estate Hickles. If y'all are looking to purchase your first property, city tax foreclosure, if you want to sell a distressed home, if you just want some real estate knowledge or get educated on how to start or how to build wealth, contact me, Rich at richhickles.com, or call me 414-792-0523. And I will teach you. I will show you. I will literally customize a plan that work with you, your credit, whatever situation you in, so you can come out on top. And most people that reached out and went through the process, they looking pretty well right now. So, you know, they done built it up. They became stable. That was the start of their foundation. Some people start with $2,500 and they link with a buddy to cover the cost of repairs, and they got together and put the house together and then sold it $80,000, $90,000. They never had that much money in their life, but then they on to flipping more properties. Some people just got tired of paying that $1,000 rent, or some people got tired of being on rental assistance and were like, you know what, I'm buying a home. And they reached out to Rich Hickles Real Estate, and me and my team, we put it together for them. So
yeah. I do have a shameless plug.
There you go. Right. Don't ever.
It's not a shameless plug. It's a plug that I think everybody needs. After you're done stopping at Bethel on Friday night, Sunday, 12:30 p.m., stop by. I'm relaunching my dad's church. In his passing, I've taken over as the senior pastor, Apostle of God's Church, ITH. You can look at us. Our prayer group is always open on Facebook, 24 hours a day. Stop on through. Same foundation, same legacy, just new leadership. Stop on in. It's something that you need. You will not leave the same way you came.
Amen. So I want to say thank you all tonight. Thank you to my sponsors. This would not happen without y'all. They making me look in the camera, y'all. I thank you for the guests that came on the show. They are the best part of Taylor Talks. This would not happen without them. I thank all the people that tune in every month just to listen to us. Other people reach out. And if you want to reach out to anybody on the panel, everybody has said their name. But if you get in touch with me, I'll make sure I connect you with them. People sometimes have questions that they don't want publicly people to know, or they need some type of other assistance. Remember that we are helpers of one another. And if it affects you, it affects me. Thank you for tuning in to Taylor Talks. Have a great day and love on somebody. Be safe. We are still in the middle of a pandemic, and this Delta 8 variant is like something we've never seen before.